Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Institute show. My name is Dr. Nicole Rankin, and I am here with our co founders, Angela Hooper Minifield. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
And none other than Damian Johnson.
Greetings, friends. Good to be with you again. Thanks for joining us.
And we are remiss to announce that Cedric LaFleur, our other founder, is not here, but he is here in spirit. He is always here, right? So we have. I'm bubbly because we have an amazing show, exciting show for you today, and I'll tell you more about that. But before I get into that, I want to talk about, this is the season of going back to school. I'm on social media and I love scrolling through my feed and seeing those back to school or first day of school pictures where we have students that before last year, they were all dressed up in their uniform or their clothes, getting ready to go on the school bus. But things are a little bit different this year, right? Most of them are just a little bit. Most of them get dressed and get ready to sit in front of a computer to do virtual learning because of the impact of the pandemic that we have going on. And, so it's things like that, that adjustment, that change can be challenging, not only challenging for the young person, but challenging for the parent or the guardian that is helping them and trying to figure out and trying to find resources and so many things that they can need to help them in this process. And I love when I saw that Empowered Living platform launch a children's program called Empowered Kids. And I just thought that was so amazing. And I watched a few episodes and it was so educational, it was engaging, it was entertaining, and
Yeah.
the messaging that went with that, I saw one talk about bullying, taking responsibility, being generous. It was just an amazing creation. And I know, Damien, you have two young kids at home that have taken to the Empowered Living and Empowered Kids show. How did they like that, and how has that helped you all as a parent?
Let me tell you, Nicole, I'm glad you asked. The show is incredible because I don't know how Michonne does it, but she has such a high level of engagement. My kids are literally yelling answers back to the TV. And we can always tie the lessons in with something that we're dealing with at home. Like just the other night, there was a show, and the theme of the show was about taking responsibility and picking up our toys. Because I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and so we were able to use that to help them clean up their room and clean up the loft. Because any of you that have young kids know that they just play with stuff and drop it right wherever they're standing, and then go off to the next thing that's captured their attention. And so I love the show. The girls get up early on Saturday morning. Can we see Miss Michonne? And they want to see Sparkle, and they want to see Bubba, and they want to see Ted Talkerson. These are some of the characters that are on the show. So I love it. If you've got kids, you've definitely got to get them plugged into Dash Upwards, the Empowered Kids show. It is incredible.
Awesome. I'm just excited by Damien just speaking it. It sounds like he's watching more than his kids.
Hey, don't shame me on that. I
I
do
love
love it. It's entertaining. It is good entertainment.
Angela, have you seen the show?
I actually have. I think the other night, maybe a week or so ago, I was on Facebook. I got the alert and I was like, you know what? I need to watch this show. And I happened to catch the one about bullying, and it was really good. I actually shared it, I believe, on my personal page. And so, because again, I'm trying to give it exposure, I want people to know that, number one, we're doing great things over here at the Empowered Living Network. But secondly, the type of quality programming, because this show, our show, is not for kids, right? But the fact that Empowered Living thought about the fact that we need programming that meets all different demographics, including children. So I loved it. I think it's well produced, well written, well scripted, and it is engaging. And so having two young grandsons, I was like, okay, let me share this, and hopefully, they can start watching it as well.
Awesome. So if you're out there, parents, grandparents, educators, and you're looking for resources to help support you in this learning, in this new norm client, check out Michonne Henniger and her Empowered Kids show. You won't be disappointed. And as we're talking about kids, that goes right into our new show for tonight. Because, guys, we're excited. As we are dealing with entrepreneurs and helping entrepreneurs build their business, build sustainable business, build systems that they need, there is a group of budding entrepreneurs out there. And as we all were talking about how we were going to do some new things with the BEI and just trying to just up level and get some more exposure and more impact, we thought about this budding growing, emerging population of entrepreneurs. And that is what we call our Gen Zers. And for those that don't know, our Gen Zers, they were born between, let's say, 1995 and 2010. So these are our young people, guys. And what we're seeing now is, our Gen Zers, they are digital. They are all about the internet, all about social media. But what we're seeing, they're a little bit more focused and truly have a higher self of awareness of what they want out of life. And I read a few statistics this week in the Junior Achievement in Earnest and Young magazine, and it said that 41% of teens are now considering entrepreneurship as a career option. And this was interesting to me, where it talks about that these Gen Zers, they fear getting stuck in a job that doesn't allow them to have the flexibility, that doesn't allow them to the developmental opportunities. So now they're looking for the way to kind of carve out their way. And these are young kids. We're talking about teenagers. And this is all, I'm all about the young people. So this just excited me. So when we read these opportunities, we thought that it will be so cool to have some of these young people on the BEI show. Because, if you can think as entrepreneur, the struggles and the obstacles that you go through as an adult, right? But to think to go through those processes as a young person and to be successful is just a whole nother level. So tonight we are going to launch our new segment of the Youth Entrepreneur of the Black Entrepreneurs show. And we have one of the amazing, sweetest, beautiful young entrepreneur that is going to be on our show, Temple Lester. Now, Temple Lester, she is a gifted 13-year-old, an award-winning creator of STEM girl swag. She is a public speaker, a STEM advocate, an entrepreneur, and an inventor of the STEM swag box. So I'm just excited. So let's bring her on so we can hear more about her and her entrepreneur journey. Hey, Temple.
Hi,
Awesome. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk to you guys today. Interviews are probably one of my favorite things about being an entrepreneur. I just love talking about myself. So I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome. So let's get started. I read about you and I met you through the internet, through Instagram, and I follow your story and see the amazing things. So just tell us and tell the audience, how did you get started as an entrepreneur?
Okay, so as you said, my name is Temple. I'm 13 years old, and I created a movement called STEM Girl Swag to help encourage girls and minorities take an interest in science, technology, engineering, and math. And I created the STEM Swag Box. I have it right here just to show you guys, which is the coolest science kit ever. But I created my company when I was 9 years old, and it just started out as a YouTube channel. I just did fun science videos because I was always interested in science from a very young age. I didn't do what the society normalizes as girl things when I was younger. So I always kind of leaned towards science and leaned away from dolls and different things. So that's just really how I got started in science. And then I started my brand. And from there on, I just learned more about the importance of women in STEM related fields because there's such a huge gap, and then the importance of minorities compared to non-minorities in STEM. And as both, I wanted to do something about it. So when I was in fifth grade, I entered this competition called a STEM Talk. It was kind of like a TED Talk, and I won. And there were two other winners, and they were both 12th graders. And so it was really incredible for me to win at
Wow.
the time. And I talked about trading in my crown for a lab jacket. That was the name of my story, where I talked about when I was about 7 or 8, I went to a science summer camp, and I was the only girl there. And the counselors kept calling me their princess. And I didn't want to be a princess at a science camp. I wanted to be a scientist, just like all the other boys that were in my camp. So I told them that, and then I started doing more and more research, and just made me want to introduce more people who look like me into science and into STEM.
Wow.
I love it.
This is so impressive. So, like Nicole, I had read about you as well, Temple, and I was just immediately impressed. But just to hear you articulate, and I just want to make sure we get that right. You said you traded in your crown or your gown. What was it?
So my crown for my lab jacket.
Your crown for your
For the
lab
live
jacket?
jack. I love
I
it.
love that. That
That's
is
incredible.
beautiful. Look, you need to trademark that, but that's another conversation. But so being, you said fifth grade when you started the business at third grade.
I started the business when I was in third grade. I clearly remember that it was a birthday present. Really, my cousin is a graphic designer, does so much cool things, that he created my website for me. And from there on, it was just doing science experiments to now selling shirts. It's one of my shirts, to selling my boxes. So I started at 9 years old, and I really remember this, my favorite part of when I started it, that I got to show it to my third grade class. And I just remember I was a little nervous because I didn't know how they would really react to it, because I was just one of their classmates. But then they all just really loved it. So it just really showed me that people really will love things you do if they're interested in it.
Yeah, that's really good because so often when we talk to entrepreneurs about, how do you find your space? And I think your space found you, right? You were interested in something, passionate about it, and then use that passion to launch a business. So, one of the things that I often hear entrepreneurs complaining about is juggling schedules, right? I'm so busy. So just talk to us a little bit. How do you, at 13 and even back when you were younger, balance a business, going to school? I'm sure you have chores, so how do you balance all that?
So, I mean, at first it was really hard to get used to, and sometimes I still don't want to do it, especially if I have to wake up early in the morning for some of my things. I do not want to get up, but so it's just always kind of pushing myself to do it, even if I don't want to do it, because I know I can encourage a girl who looks like me to get into it when people may have told her that she can't do this or she can't do that. But it's just really, it is hard, especially now as a 13-year-old. I'm starting to become more interested in different stuff, and sometimes I don't really pay attention, but I always do go back to science. And what I do is fun for me, and so that's always a quote that I read a long time ago, was that if you do a job and it's fun and it's your favorite thing in the world, you'll never feel like you're working. So that's what it is. I never feel like I'm working. It just feels like another hobby to me, just something I do after school or before school sometimes. And of course, one of the best parts is getting money at a 13. Like, yeah, so that's always one of the best things. I feel like sometimes people don't want to admit that, just to not seem like, oh, I'm in it for the money. But yeah, it is one of the good things about being an entrepreneur.
Definitely, because if you're, as Damien tells us all the time, if you're in business, you sell things and you're in it to make money. So, girl, yes, own it. I
Yeah.
Yes,
love it.
I love it.
Love it. So Temple, listen, as I listen to you and I see you, you come across, you're just amazing, and I'm sure that, when you are a huge inspiration to young women your age, young girls your age, right? So for a young person that's out there with an idea to start a business, but not sure what to do, what advice would you give them?
Some advice that people always ask me this question, especially nowadays when I do interviews over lines, and when I talk to kids, because I've talked to a lot of teenagers during COVID through Zooms and different things. So one thing that I always will say is just do it. no matter what people tell you, no matter what comes in your way, you can always overcome those barriers if you really care about what you're doing and you feel like it's what you're meant to do. So I always just stay passionate about it and stay true to yourself. Don't let others really get into your head about it. I know that was one thing that I had a hard time doing because sometimes I didn't want to tell people that I would do this, especially my classmates when I was in about like fourth or fifth grade, that I didn't want to tell them that, oh, I do this because I thought it may sound too cocky. But now I've learned to really appreciate what I'm doing. And if they're my true friends and if they really care about like what I'm doing, then they will uplift me and they'll have positivity about it. So that's just something that I always say.
Wow.
I love it. Is she awesome?
Beyond, beyond.
Amazing. So one of the things that we mentor business owners, and one of the things we teach them is to how to um, avoid pitfalls and avoid struggles in life. So even as a young person, you're battling with not only an entrepreneur, but just the challenges of being a young girl, right? It's a hard thing, and I know I work with a lot of young people and the many challenges that you all face. What are some of the things that you do to help you through that process to keep you moving forward?
So definitely it is challenging. Of course, being a young entrepreneur who public speaks all the time, who talks to different people about what I do and about the importance of what I do, and then being a teenager, just a teenager is also very hard. I know that as being friends with a lot of people around my age and knowing all the struggles that they do go through, even if they don't do what I do, we're all still teenagers. And especially during COVID, we've had a lot of stress. I know a few people who have been depressed or more sad than they often have. So, really, how I keep from kind of going into that is I love to hang out with my friends. At first in Corona, for the first few months, I didn't see them at all. We would only FaceTime and maybe text each other. But my mom, who is a psychotherapist, so she knows the importance of mental health and everything about that, she let us rent an Airbnb for a couple of nights, and me and my friends all got to stay there, and it was so much fun. And
Oh,
it just made me feel so much better. So I always love to surround myself with positive people, and that's what I talk about all the time. My whole friend group, positive energy. Like I've kept them around. My best friend since kindergarten, two of them since fourth grade, one of them since third grade. So I've always just kind of had a thing for having positivity in my life. And if people become negative at some point, I just really kind of remove myself from the environment or remove myself from being friends with them. So that's just how I stay positive and how I stay just not going kind of a little sad or being a little less than me.
awesome.
That is so well
Awesome.
said. You spoke that with the clarity and certainty that very seldom adults can do. So just the fact that you have that awareness that you can just release, things that don't serve you, right? And negativity doesn't serve you. So, you don't tinker with it. You don't try to combat it. You just say, there's no place for this in my life. So like I said, the more you talk, the more impressed I am. Oh my gosh. So, so my next question would be this. So you talked about your friends and all the positivity, but I even know how sometimes I can feel being on social media and being places that, all comments are not positive. How have you dealt with negativity if you've experienced any? And what would you tell other people, whether they're entrepreneurs or young people like yourself? Like, how do you deal with that aspect of it?
So I've never really faced negativity from people that I've never met on like online. I've never had any rude comments or hate comments or anything. Not that I really remember. I just know a few of the negative comments have been maybe from people who I went to school with and who didn't really understand what I would do, what I did, or what I do now, and just would kind of because they didn't understand it, they would be a little mean, or just because they thought I was a nerd and I wasn't how like other people would look at me, maybe because of stereotypes and different things. So they would just kind of push that onto me. And I don't really listen to it because I know who I am and people around me know who I am, and I surround myself with people who understand me and who are like me and who may not be like me, but we understand each other. So that's just always how I kind of deal with the negativity that I do get. And I do expect negativity in the future as my company grows more, my social media grows more. But I kind of not listen to it and just not let it sink in with me.
Wow.
Love it.
Temple, you're amazing. Wow. So I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old daughter, and to me, you're a model for them. I love that. So the thing that's running through my mind about you, Temple, is this. One of the things that we see, even in our boot camp, where we're teaching success principles for entrepreneurs, we see that constant struggle with time management, because so many entrepreneurs, they've got a day job and then they're trying to build their business. And I'm looking at you thriving and I'm looking at you smiling. And so you have a YouTube channel. That's how you started. You've got the STEM box, you've got t-shirt line, and then you've got school. How, how do you manage it all? Right? Because there's a lot on your plate. And I can't say that I was able to manage what you're managing when I was 13. So I'm really curious to know, how do you keep everything in its proper place so that you're not overwhelmed on one side or the other?
Okay, so I have this one thing that's very personal to me, and it is my mother. She is my everything. She's my manager. She's my chauffeur. She's my calendar. She's my everything. So anytime people will try to contact me on social media, she's always go to her, maybe email her, call her, DM her. But so my mom has always been my time management, and my parents see like things like I'm not an early bird, so I don't like waking up in the morning. My parents have to come wake me up sometimes. But really, yeah, that's how I manage it. I kind of like tell my mom the night before something, wake me up, wake me up a few hours before, or else I won't get up by myself. I'll get up like an hour later. But so that's kind of how I time manage. I know other people have different ways, maybe like writing stuff down so it's easier to remember. That's a way for studying and a way for like remembering stuff. So that's it. But my mom and her calendar, her lovely calendar that she has all my stuff on and all her stuff
I'm sure it's color coded, right? So she can separate the two.
I love it. I love it. And being a STEM girl myself, you are all in my heart right now. I love it. So I want to know, as an entrepreneur, as we said, and you made talked about this. Or if you're not making money, you're not in business, right? So you have to have a certain product or service that the people want, that's serving a need. So let's talk more about this STEM box that you have. Can we get a little peek and just tell us how you? Yeah.
right here. This is my favorite part right here. It's a little brown girl right here on the back, and it's me. So that's my favorite part because I always think if this goes in stores or if someone's looking at it and they look like me and they've never seen someone that looks like them do something like this, then I hope to be an inspiration to them. And that's always kind of what I do when I go speak. I always want to inspire someone that has never heard me speak before, or someone who has never seen someone that may look like them, maybe be a girl or be a Black person or be both. I just want to inspire this. But this is my box right here. This is what it looks like on the inside. This is my sample kit. So it's all taped down. But so
Okay.
it looks like. Here is my favorite experiment. I'm going to tell you guys about this. There's a plant seed ball. It is made out of paper, water, and seeds, and it's all blended up into a ball, and you can do it yourself too. That's also one of the experiments. So it consists of so many different things. I think the favorite is the magnetic slime. Kids love slime. I love slime. That was my first ever YouTube video before it even got popular. But so kids love slime. So that's probably the first thing that they will do. So yeah, this is my science. This is so cool. Coolest science kit ever. Coolest
I
science
love
kit
it.
ever. Yeah, so I have a lot of different things. I have self-inflating balloon. I did that experiment when I was on the news channel in Savannah in February. So I've been out of the city to do stuff. I'm from Atlanta, guys. Yeah. But
So
seven
Temple,
experiments in it. So yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is something that people can go to your website and purchase, correct?
Yes. So if you go on my website, which is justtemple.com, JUSTTMPLE, and that's also all my social media accounts. But if you go to my website, you will go to the homepage, and then there'll be a little thing called the STEM Swag Shop.
Hmm.
So that's where you go buy it. That's where you buy all my cool shirts right here. So I have a lot of different types of shirts. And just one thing about my box that was really amazing. So I created this. It came out around November, December of 2019 last year. And I did a GoFundMe and I raised over $5,000 to donate my boxes to kids in my community who may not have science experiments at home or science experiments in their school. And they don't have any path to do science. So I want to give them a path.
That is that
Awesome.
is great. I just love that. And so Damien has posted the link up here, and it should be in the comments as well, hopefully pinned. But audience, if you're listening and you want to support Temple, and I'm sure you do as a young entrepreneur, but also as a gift to the young women in your life, whether they be black, brown, whatever color, we want to get more girls into STEM, right? And that's what we know statistically needs to happen: science, engineering, mathematics, and things like that. So, Temple, I'm gonna ask you one more question, and I believe we're going to be bringing your mom to join us shortly. But how has COVID impacted your business, if at all, or how have you had to pivot since COVID-19 surfaced?
So COVID, it's been really bad for a few people. Not for me at all. I have had so many different incredible opportunities because people have found me through social media. And I'm not just to people that are in the Atlanta area or in the state of Georgia. I've been on a thing in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've had a lot of LA producers come and contact me for different things. So it's really been incredible. I've spoken to over 10,000 people during COVID. So
Wow.
Wow.
people I've talked to about the importance, and my sales have increased with my box and my shirts. I've done Instagram lives on every Wednesday this summer, and I'm doing it like every other Wednesday now that I'm back in school. So it hasn't really impacted me in a bad way. It's impacted me in a great way. Everything has just been going up for me.
That that is so great. Thank you so much. I can tell my screen is froze. So yeah, I'm talking, but my screen is froze. It happens, right? This is what we call live TV or live internet. So just so you know, and I don't know if you know, the EL community, has currently, subscribed to it about 2 million people. So there will be a whole lot more people who will have an opportunity to see you, Temple. And I'm so glad that that's the case. So, Nicole, would you like to introduce and bring out Temple's mom?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Temple, again, I agree with our co-founders that you are truly amazing, and it's good to see that you love what you do. You found a passion at a young age, and truly not only helping other people and with STEM and doing outreach. It's just such amazing. But I know you couldn't do it by yourself. Like you said, you have a superwoman that supports you, that helps you, that encourages you, and we want to join Miss Lester on screen. There she is. Hello. We have
Hello, everybody.
Temple's mother. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for inviting her to be on the show.
Absolutely. Well, we know as there's a quote that as entrepreneurs said, your potential is determined by those closest to you. And as a young person, to see the gleam in her eye and the passion as a parent, when did you realize that in your daughter, that she had a business idea, and how did you nurture that?
So I have to give this credit to my husband. We fight over credit for this. Temple has her pretend play used to be conference calls or let me valet park. And so it was never let me cook. And so that was always her pretend play. She's always been advanced and she didn't really like she said, the traditional Barbie dolls or things. She played with rocks and she liked to figure out how things were experiments. So she convinced my husband to turn his man cave part of it into a science lab. And that's
Ah,
when we kind of did good. And as Temple said, as a psychotherapist, I teach people always to follow your passion, follow the passion of your children. It really shows them where they are. Oftentimes, we try to impose who we are on them instead of following where they truly are. And I think I joked with Temple about this in high school. I did cheerleading and homecoming queen. If I had pushed that on her, she would never been this dynamic. She might have been really pretty good at it. She wouldn't have been this Temple if I had not, allowed to follow her interest.
Wow, wow, that's awesome. And so I've got to ask you this, Mrs. Lester. I think sometimes, when you think about your child having a business, for some parents that can be a scary place to be. So what reservations did you and maybe your husband have about her starting this business? Did you have any, and what were they, and how did you overcome them?
Let me tell you that we did not. Both of us are entrepreneurs. I have a private practice based in Atlanta. My husband does. We've been doing real estate development and all this entrepreneur piece for a very long time. So it's quite natural for her to be able to do this. That really one of the things what I really wanted to do is to teach her that whether this did well or not, if she had an idea, to see it through, to execute it, to follow it through, because it could be another one. It may not always be the very first idea that's successful, but the fact that I know how to start something from the beginning and follow it through to the end is the skill that we wanted to teach her. And so it happens, and it just happened to be quite successful for her.
Wow.
I
Wow.
love it.
There's so much to be learned from hearing you say that, right? Even as a parent, right? We're listening, we're
Yeah.
like, wow, nurture the child's interest and encourage them to follow it through from beginning to end. That's awesome.
I love it. I'm curious, as as an entrepreneur, you have to, there it's a serious thing, having a serious mindset. But again, she's a child. So how do you as a parent keep that balance to say, okay, this is business, but still be a child and still enjoy your childhood?
So, so it's a combination because I'm thinking like, hey, I should be working for your business harder than you're working for. So I'm pulling her in here and saying, you got 20 orders, you need to be filling the boxes, but also understanding like preparation and being able to how to have these things where they're planned. So you have a surplus, and she really wants us to work for free. I talked to her about that. Hey, no, you got to pay people, but teaching her the really components of business, the financial component pieces of it, the seed money that I gave her. What does that look like? It means I am planting seeds for your harvest. Now pay me out, to, but I'm teaching her these things. But I also want her to be a kid, because at some point I know that it can be overwhelming for her. She speaks a lot. She says she's spoken to probably over 50,000 people for conferences and all of these things. So I want her to keep the essence of her being a kid and not steal that piece away from her. So I'm always monitoring, is it too much? And so when she said that I did the Airbnb for her and her friends, and I was just their driver, chauffeur maid, but I knew that they needed some type of psychological outlet, some friends to this. She was overwhelmed. She missed her birthday during quarantine, and she didn't, a party that she was going to have. But I do want her to have the seriousness of understanding that this is a business that you are running. And at some point where you can no longer feel that I would have the desire to run this, what do we do next? And so I'm always monitoring that. And it's an ongoing kind of thing for it. Now, I balance that between, is it because you're a teen? Or is it because I'm just not interested? Part of it is that I'd rather sleep and not clean up these chores and do this other kind of stuff. So part of it is it being a kid. The other piece is that she really understands how business works.
Wow, wow. And so what do you foresee as being next for Temple? Because she's got this business, obviously very articulate. So she's clearly got a budding career as a public speaker. She's already doing appearances. So where do you foresee her going based on all the success she's had so far?
So I do think, like Temple did mention, she had a few calls and people have been seeking her out. I tell her Temple this all the time. Sometimes if you put yourself in a position that you don't have to apply for, folks will find you. They will seek you out. They'll hunt you down. And so she's had a couple of calls from people, for LA producers, and to be part of shows and different kind of things. Because I do think science is her area. Her area of giftedness is science and math, academically wise. There's a natural app for her to be able to speak. Perhaps because I speak for a living. So maybe she's just seen it. She's been around it for so long, being able to see that. But I think that being on television is a passion of her to be able to see, because initially how we before we started the box, Temple wrote these stories because there were no little brown girls in her stories that we would read at night. So we wrote
Uh-huh.
all this series of stories that, and so I think that right now Black Girl Magic is on, it's popular, it's winning, and so and she has that piece, and so people are looking to see that.
I
Wow.
love it. I love it. I love it. And just so supporter, I love the spirit that you all have as mother and daughter, and still as a manager and business person. And so, how do you convey that to parents out there who see something in their child, but really don't know how to nurture it and how to bring that out? What advice do you give to parents out there that are watching?
So, what I would give to parents is, because, like, honestly, I do this all day long for a living. But what I do tell parents is that you follow the child's interest, honestly, and I think it makes all of the difference in the world. If parents aren't sure, even if for adults, when I'm working with adults, I'll ask them. I say, "Well, what do your friends call you for?" That really tells you what you do well, honestly, not
Mm,
what you think you do well. If you want to be a cook and nobody's calling you to make the potato salad for the barbecue, that's probably not what you're good at. But if you're good at it, so following the child interest and not pushing our own. Oftentimes, we only know from our experiences. We only know from what we have. And so if I did dance, and nothing's wrong with that. There's some magnificent dancers. But if that's all I knew, when she came with me with science, I was like, is she crazy? Is this weird? She's a weirdo. Why do you want this kind of stuff? I understood it. Like, let me follow and see where it leads us. And so
Mm.
following the child's passion and making sure it's not a chore. Because if you're forcing them to do something, then they will soon change their mind. There's a quote that says, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." And so when I'm convinced against something that I don't want to do, when you're not watching, I still don't want to do it. And I'm never going to do it to its best ability. And so I allow her to be able, like, hey, I like science. She teaches me things. Sometimes I'm like, is that the right answer, Temple? I'm looking like, I hope so. But this is her thing. It's what she does.
mm,
I
wow.
love it.
That is.
So
Go ahead, Nicole.
that's
It's
Angela.
Angela.
That's
Oh,
frozen Angela. So, but so often we talk about mentors, and of course, you're a mom, you're a parent, and I have a daughter. And while we're close, there were just some things that she could not receive from me, right? Because I'm mom, and she would say sometimes, "Where you're supposed to say that, or you're supposed to believe in me. You're my mom. How have you?" Sounds familiar, huh? So, how have you navigated ensuring that Temple also has other positive, adults and mentors speaking into her life beyond her parents?
So she's part of a lot of different programs. She's a Girl Scout. She's a Girl Scout that she has been for some time now. That really doesn't count because her mom's a Girl Scout leader, though. So she is a Girl Scout leader, but she participated in other programs that are away from me, so that she gets that. Temple's in a place in her career at this point where I'm hiring other experts, new publicists. We're looking for publicists, and we're looking for some things because I tell her phone rings more than mine now. Our chick coming in mail bigger. They're for Temple, not for me. And we were laughing because at her mailbox today, it was like, "Oh, Temple, your mailbox money is coming." And so she's at a place where I've taken her as far as I can go, and being or not far as I can go, as far as I'm ready to go with her. I mean, looking to go with her. So being able to hire experts when you know that it's time to have another business manager, have a publicist, or have some other kind of people to be able to support your child in their growth.
Love
Wow.
it.
So that sounds like you're actually investing in her at the next level now, right? Because this is not about taking extra classes. It's now about helping her manage and navigate her life. And I think that there's a lot that parents can learn from your approach to parenting.
Thank
That's incredible.
Awesome. So we've talked about the business. We talked about all the great things that you're doing. So I'm just curious, as just a young girl, what do you do for fun? What does that look like for you?
Okay, so right now, what I do for fun, I'm into TV. I think that's really a good part into why I'm single smart. I always talk about, I'm texting, when I text my friend and he's always like, what are you doing right now? I'm like, TV. He's like, oh, that's what you do all the time. So I was like, yeah, but that's like a good reason why I'm smart, because I've watched so many different things. I'm into so many different stuff. I may watch the History Channel one day, Science Channel next day, Disney, Netflix, the other days of the week. So it's just always on TV. And then I talk to my friends all the time, text, FaceTime. This year, me and my best friend, we're back at the same school. It has been 2 years since we've been at the same school. So we're back there. We're talking to each other like, oh, yeah, these people. But so I always I hang out with my mom. My mom's my best friend. I hang out with my dad, my dog, my grandparents. So that's what I do for fun. I'm really, especially because I'm an only child, I love talking to adults. Very fun for me. Kids, sometimes I don't know what to say because, but I can talk to adults all day long. Like I talked to when we were in live school, I hang out with my teacher during our breaks, my favorite teachers. Just go to her class and like, hi, I'm here.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, you
Temple.
remind me so much of my daughter.
So
I
much.
love it.
Doing TikTok and researching and looking. She is a history, and so she laughed. Temple didn't talk to you guys about her STEM girl swag. The reason the swag piece came about was that she, it's a STEM is kind of your nerd piece, but swag because she loves sneakers. She likes hip hop. She likes all kind of things that keeps her swag piece going, and that allow you to be able to know that, hey, I can still like science, know all this nerd stuff, and be in the top 10% and still be able to whoa.
Oh.
That's awesome. So listen, run down the product suite for me again. So you mentioned the shirt,
So
and
the
then
for my first thing. So I have STEM Girl swag right here. This is one shirt that I did on an IG live for tie-dyeing. I have Stimulate Your Mind, which is my favorite shirt, honestly, besides STEM Girl swag. We have No Fear, which is made out of the periodic table. And yeah, we're getting my box. Yeah, so getting my box right here. That came out last year. I have my bookmarks, which are like my business cards. So I give them out wherever I go. Right
okay.
here, I need to get them updated. I'm pretty sure we're getting them updated because this picture is me when I was 9 and now I'm 13. So that was such a long time ago in my eyes.
That is awesome. Awesome. So any future items in product development? Because you got a whole brand going right now, right? This whole STEM swag stuff. So what else are you coming up with?
So we're having a new box come out later this year. We're in the process doing that, figure out what goes in it and figure out what it's going to look like. Creating a new color for one of our shirts that we found was so awesome because a boy ordered it for his birthday party and we thought it was such a cool color, so we're going to get those in. So that's really just what's happening right now. I'm focusing a lot on that and getting more opportunities. As you said, opportunities are just falling into my lap right now. So I've just had so many people contact me over Instagram, and I've had so many people that I've really had a good connection with, no matter like the age difference or where they live right now. So that's a lot of what I'm focusing on.
I
Wow.
love it. I love it. You guys have been amazing. The more you talk, the more I'm just attracted and in love with what you're doing. I'm going to continue following and looking at all the great things that you're doing. So as we wrap up, I just want you all to have some final words. Both Miss Lester and Altem. So Miss Lester, if you can just speak out there to the parents out there and just give them a word. And then Temple, I want you to speak to the young people that are watching as we're going back to school. Give them a word of encouragement.
And so for me, for parents, I will say is that to follow your child interests, although they may be different from yours, it will lead them actually to a place where you will see a great amount of success for them, both academically as a whole person. Oftentimes we are closer to what it is that we're purposed and created to do at a child at an early age. We lose that as we go along with society, the voices from outside. Let them stay connected closest to what they really are created to do. And we find that at a very early age. So be in tune with your child and what their interests are.
I love it.
And for me, For my young folks over there, my Gen Zers, as you said before, I'm definitely Gen Z and proud. I love my generation, especially what we're all doing right now. But something for them would just be to not let people tell you what to do. Don't let them determine this is how you look, so this is what you should do, or this is how you talk, so this is what you should do, or this is who your family is, this is what your background is, this is where you're from. Not let things that you can't really control determine you, and not let what people say about you that is negative or is stereotypical get into you and really affect who you are and what you think about yourself.
Awesome. Yes.
Awesome. Yes, high
Virtual
five.
high five. I love it. Well, I truly, on behalf of the Black Entrepreneurs Institute show, want to thank you both for coming, for taking your time, for pouring out into us, for giving us some great inspiration, great words of wisdom as a young entrepreneur, as a parent. This, guys, you have to get the replay. If you missed it, make sure you go back and watch this, because this is our future, right? And a lot of times we think about our young people and there's so much negativity, but this is an example. Temple, you're a role model and an example of what our future looks like. And I can say our future looks really bright and we are in good hands. So thank you, Ms. Lester, for all that you've done to support her vision, her gifts, and her calling. And may God continue to strengthen you, and the sky's the limit. So we are going to be waiting and looking out for what's next. So thank you for coming on Black Entrepreneurs Show. Damien, you want to?
And make sure you guys go check out my social medias, Just Temple, 2 T's, JUSTTMPLE. Every social media platform out there. Instagram is my main one, but I have a Facebook, I have a Twitter, so just go check those out.
Absolutely.
And also make sure you go to the website and grab your STEM swag box.
Absolutely. The link is being seen. Go ahead, Damien.
So I just want to encourage our viewers, because this broadcast is going to be watched thousands and thousands of times. Guys, this is the type of thing that you want to support. You want to support a young woman that's doing something positively to impact other young people, right? So this is what we want to rally around. So right now, friends, go ahead and go to justtemple.com, pick up the swag box, bless somebody else with it, right? We want to rally around good models, good examples. Listen, you heard her. She's super articulate, and she is a model that's worth following. So we are behind her 100% of the way. I'm gonna buy a box and bless somebody with it as soon as the show is over. I want to encourage all of our viewers to do the same thing. So Temple, thank you. Miss Lester, thank you for joining us today. We sure appreciate you dropping by and pouring into us.
Guys, this was so fun.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Awesome. Wow. Wasn't that amazing?
Beyond. It's beyond. I am so impressed with both Temple and her mother, Mrs. Lester. I mean, just a model. It's hard enough parenting.
Yeah.
And, when I was just thinking through, I'm like, to be parenting, running your own business, and then helping your child since the 3rd grade.
Yes.
Run her business, and Temple is truly so successful. So it's working, right? It was just. I knew I was going to be impressed, but I don't even know what else to say.
No words.
It was. I just love them both. I love them both. I am a follower. I'm following all her social media. I'm in. And I'm getting a box as well, Damien. I'm gifting it to someone.
Absolutely. I will too. Definitely. Just wanting to support the vision. And that's what about with the young people, especially in with our Gen Zers that we're seeing. They want to be supported. They want to be heard. They want to have a platform. And Ms. Lester talked about it. Say a lot of times as parents, we want to project what we want onto the kids. We want to project their career path, their decision making, and get upset when they don't follow that path. But we're in a totally different generation from our millennials, our Gen Zers. They're carving out their own way. And we can see through Temple just what that can do if we allow them to just explore who they are, from the 3rd grade,
Girl, I was playing with glue. I was playing with glue and cutting out construction paper in the 3rd grade.
It's amazing.
But here's the other thing, Nicole, that resonated with me, right? Because again, in BEI, what we do is we help entrepreneurs grow their business. There are 50-year-olds, people my age, that keep talking about someday.
Mhm.
Right. And I realize when you're 8 and 9, you throw caution to the wind. But I even hope Temple can be a motivation to them.
Yes.
That just like it's never too soon. Because I think, you start them when they express they're ready. It's never too late. If you have a business in you, let us help you grow that business, because you can see what happens when you follow what you're driven to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that is our time. It has been amazing, and we are so excited about this new segment because we're going to. Temple just set the bar, so we're going to. She said it high, right? We are going to continue to bring on young entrepreneurs to the show. So go ahead. If you missed the show, the replay will be Sunday at 3 p.m. And don't forget, coming up afterwards at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time is the candle lighting, where they intentionally hold a space for peace, love, hope in the world. So don't forget to watch the candle lighting. Thank you, EL viewers. Thank you for our community, Black entrepreneurs community. Paul Roddy, thank you for this opportunity. Until next time, we'll see you again next Tuesday right here at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time at the Black Entrepreneurs Show. You all be blessed.
Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us.